Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hope this day finds you well. Where's my CO2 hide down out of the goddamn picture here? There, that's a little better. How we doing? Anyway, had a little different slideshow there today. I was gonna tell a story about my friend. I'm getting ready to, I gotta hop in that truck and drive out to Boise, Idaho, where I'm gonna meet Joshua. And it's gonna be a rough few days. We gotta put our friend Dorian to rest. But I want to talk a little bit about a couple of things that really bother me with his passing. You know, this was a guy that had overcome so much. He got shot 20 times by the police before I met him in prison. He had one leg. Always had to wear a wrist brace. And survived. And was always just the funniest dude. Like, just always cutting up, always doing funny shit. Just, I don't think I ever saw the guy in a bad mood. You know? And I mean, if somebody's going to be in a bad mood in prison, it's going to be somebody that's got, you know, if you're missing a leg, like my boy Tweet in the wheelchair, man. Shout out Tweet. I'll get back to you, man. I know I missed your calls. I didn't realize it was you, so I will hit you up on the road today. I'm getting ready to jump in the truck and head out to Boise, though. It's going to be a long drive. I don't know how I'm gonna make it. I guess I'm just gonna do what I can do with my back and, you know, all my shit and problems with my legs and everything, but it'll be okay. I got cruise control, right? Got a new set of fucking shoes on the tires, or a new set of tires on the truck yesterday. That was nice, you know, dump another $1,000 into the damn thing, but that's okay. At least I won't have a blowout on the side of the road, so I'm going to be going through Yellowstone Park here in probably within the hour. Because I'm 52 miles east of Jellystone Park, so we'll see where I get. Today, Josh is coming in tomorrow. I'll pick him up at the airport, and yeah. Anyways, our friend, when he got out before Josh or I did, and he just really went all at it. He went out, he got into bodybuilding. He became a Paralympian on the skeleton team. For those of you who don't know what skeleton is, that's like it's a super fast sled on like a bobsled track. He traveled all over the globe doing that. Did motivational speaking for, disabled children, even corporations and shit like that would call him in. I mean, the guy was just, he was an example of what you can do, the opportunities that you do have even when things go awfully bad for you. I mean, he was in a coma. I mean, you get shot 20 times. I mean, he wasn't expected to live. He was in a coma. Came out of it. And he used to do some funny shit with that leg, too. I'll tell you a story. There was this OG that lived across from us. Shout out Frankie Palmer. Frankie was like an old prize fighter, right? And he had Parkinson's. He was funnier than hell. Just still feisty as shit, And he had these fists that were just, they were huge. They were like, they were like meat paws or something, And Dorian would mess with him because he had that prosthetic, and we called it his nub on his right leg, and it just, right below his knee, it was like a suction cup. So he'd go work out, and that thing would get all sweaty and nasty, and Frankie'd always be laying there on his rack, just listening to his radio and just staring up at, from the bottom up, just staring up at the top, and Dorian would go in there and he would climb up over the top of his bunk, and then he would drop down, and he'd take that sweaty nub leg of his and stick it right in Frankie's face, and that Frankie would just come uncorked. You'd hardly see that guy move, but he would do that, and Dorian's hopping out the door, hopping out around there with his, one leg, and Frankie's just, got his fists up and everything. Oh, God, it was so funny. I mean, that dude, there's so many funny stories I could tell about this guy. I mean, the last time I saw him was, I was going out on White Spirit Panic tour, and I took him to a show in Boise when I went through there. And that's where one of those photos was from, was at the Morrison Center. And, the show got over, and he had a blast. He was like, dude, he's like, why didn't you ever tell me about these guys? And I'm like, man, I tried to, But, it was fun. We hung out for a couple of days, and then I got, I had to go to a show in Spokane, and then Seattle and Portland, and then along the way on tour, going on tour. Actually, I've got I've got a couple of posters from that tour up behind me. I don't think you can see them right now. Let's see if I can. Yeah. Oh, I guess I got my other camera on, is what I got going here. If I had the MacBook one on, I could show you. I guess I could do that. But if I turn that one off, then God knows if it'll come back on. Anyways, so got to do that. And, it was just a solid dude. And here's the problem that I have, okay? Obviously, people that have amputations, they have what they call ghost pain, right? Like with your leg being gone. Well, I don't know if that was the case or what it was, but he got prescribed fentanyl. Now, Dorian was, a recovering addict. I mean, once an addict, you're always an addict. I mean, it's one of those things that doesn't go away. So he gets prescribed fentanyl, and his tolerance grows for it, and he ends up getting to the point where he's running through his medication that he's prescribed monthly within a couple of weeks, and he's out of the medication, so he's getting sick. Because obviously that's what fentanyl does. It's so addictive. So then he seeks out his remedy on the street, which I've seen happen to so many people. And and I'm just going to talk about this just because it's a done deal, and it's not like I'm putting anybody on blast or anything like that. He calls me up and asked me for some money at one point, and starts trying to explain himself, and I said, dude, you don't have to explain anything to me, bro. I'm like, you're my brother, man. I'm like, dude, whatever, what do you need? And he told me, and I just I wired him the money. And then I started thinking about it, and so I looked him up. I was like, something ain't right here. And I see his name on a fucking federal indictment again. And I'm like, God damn it, And I look through it, and there's a bunch of names on there, and it's a big ring, and I'm thinking the worst. I'm thinking, oh man, come on, dude, don't tell me that you got back into this shit again, And so I tried to, I called him back. I left a voicemail, and I was like, dude, I don't care about the money. I don't give a shit. I give a fuck about you. I'm like, get back to me. Let me know what's going on. I just saw your name on this indictment. What the fuck is going on here, And I never heard back from him. Not a thing. And then, I talked to Josh, and then our friend Sammy. What's up, Sammy? How you doing? Sam Silva out there in Northern California. Hopefully we'll see you this weekend too, my brother. What's up, Tommy Curry? Hope you're good, brother. So never heard any of that. I talked to those two guys, and they'd both been hit up by him as well about, getting some funds, and, we were all like, this ain't right, because when I'd seen him, he was doing great. He did like me when he got out. He was a concrete guy. Like, he started his own concrete business. The guy was just buried in work. He was just doing great. I mean, the guy was he was an animal. He was bigger than life. He just always had always just playing jokes and being a prankster and being a goofball and just cracking up. I mean, one of the funnest people to be around that I've ever been around in my life. I mean, the dude was just, it was infectious. There were times where we would laugh so hard. Like when you get to that point where you're laughing so goddamn hard that, I mean, like if you were, shoot, like we used to, when we played baseball in Little League for like the Dairy Queen, we'd go in there after games and we'd start laughing so hard you'd shoot like root beer out your nose because you were laughing so hard. This was what this dude was like. I mean, there was one night, and that one guy in the picture that was up there. I'll bring these photos up again if I can here. But there was one night, right? Like when I got in, like I was not being a very responsible individual. You know what I mean? I was getting involved in the same type of shit that I was involved in on the street. So yeah, there on that note, let's see. Yeah, there's me. That's him and me at a Widespread Panic show. But then the guy on the other side of me, right? Like that dude and we hit it off. And yeah, because we were both knuckleheads, and so we were, cooking hooch and getting drunk and doing dumb shit. And for anybody that's ever drank prison hooch, it is not good. It is not good. I won't even explain the way we made it. It was not good. It would get you, it would mess you up. But the worst hangovers ever. And I mean, after a little bit, I got to realize it, and I was like, dude, this is not gonna work. I can't do my time like this. I've got, so I went cold turkey on it and just quit. Well, my buddy, he didn't. He kept on rolling. And there was one night, right, so like him and Dorian lived like right up from me. And I hear his bunkie up top, I hear O'Malley. He falls out of his bunk, like he's on the top rack, right? He falls out and he slams into the lockers, and I hear him yell, and Dorian's like, what the fuck, man? And I'm like, what the fuck was that, And he's like, fucking O'Malley just fell out of his fucking bunk. And so O'Malley's like over there, he's cussing and mumbling and shit, and he's drunk, and so he crawls back up in his rack, and it wasn't like 5 minutes later, wham, fucking falls down again, right into these lockers, man. And Dorian's like, Jesus Christ, and I'm like, holy shit, that's twice. And he's like, fuck, he's punching the lockers, you could hear him, he's yelling, he's cussing and carrying on, and he gets back up in the rack, and I'm laying there. I got my headphones in, I'm just laying there. It's probably around, I don't know, midnight or something like that. The lights are out. I'm just listening to like Art Bell or some shit, and all of a sudden I hear wham, and he falls out the third time, and you can hear him yell 3 times. What the fuck? He starts pounding on those lockers, and Dorian and I were laughing so fucking hard after the third time. I mean, like 3 times. I mean, it was one of those where I was laughing, so I couldn't quit. I couldn't stop laughing, and then if I did manage to control it for a second, I would just cut right back in. And he was cutting in too. He was one of those cats that had one of those infectious laughs that, like, if he started laughing, you'd start laughing. We were roaring. We were just dying, and then O'Malley gets hemmed up and hauled into the shoe, and, he ended up getting shipped over that, all that drinking and carrying on, because he just couldn't put it aside. And I think he finished his time in a pretty bad place just because of that, just because of drinking, So don't do that if you go to prison. Luckily, I managed to put a stop to it. But I mean, I was pretty bad before I went in. I was really bad. I mean, I was on a bad path. I was on the death march, basically. And it doesn't help when you go into a place like that. It just adds to the stress. And what do you fall into with stress? You fall back into it. So Anyway, that was another. I mean, there was another incident that happened with Dorian where he got in a wheelchair because he would have to get his prosthetic worked on like every year, and that's part of the thing. You know, they gotta take him and rebuild him just because. I mean, all that stress. I would imagine. I don't know. I'm not. I'm just. I guess I'm just making a guess here, but I'd say that I don't know how many steps a person takes in a year, but you're putting a lot of stress on something that's fake. And so he'd have to send his leg out and have it worked on so that he'd be in a wheelchair. And so there was a night that, you know, we'd been carrying on and he had the wheelchair. And so we decided we were going to do time trials on the wheelchair through the unit. And, they sold those Casio G-Shock watches and we all had one, so we're timing each other and we're going around and we're just raising hell in the unit, just making noise and flying on this wheelchair. Just, And Dorian gets on that thing. And there was this dude named Fats that lived on, he was on the other side of the unit, but he was, he was in a wheelchair and he only had one leg, but he didn't have a prosthetic. And this dude would literally, with his one leg, he'd kick himself, across the yard. This dude could haul ass on that thing. And he would haul ass through the unit, so he was on the other side and he would come to the black TV room to watch TV, right? And Fats is one of those guys you could hardly understand, what's up, player? Great dude, But Dorian takes off in that wheelchair, and of course he can go faster on that thing than any of us can because he's used to riding it. So he goes flying around that corner, and here's Fats with his cup going to the TV room. And I mean, that dude, like I said, he didn't care if you're in his way, you better get out of the way because he didn't give a shit. I mean, when the door popped and he wanted to go to South Unit, he was gone, like gone, like crazy. I mean, it was hilarious to watch him. Well, Dorian comes flying around and Fats is flying, and they had a collision, and it was so fucking funny. Fats goes flying, and Dorian gets up and he's hopping on one leg, and he's like trying to pick Fats up, and Fats is just looking around like he didn't even know what the fuck just. And so Dorian's trying to pick him up. He's trying to grab his wheelchair, and we're running up there. We're just dying. I mean, it was one of the funniest goddamn things. I mean, you two one-legged men in a wheelchair fucking joust, I guess is what it was. I mean, just goofy shit like that went on. I'm trying to remember. There's, so many other stories too. I mean, we were sitting there one night. He'd stolen a bunch of apples from the chow hall, and so he was like, "Dude, you want an empanada? I'm gonna make apple empanadas." And we got some cinnamon, and we're up there at the microwaves, and O'Malley was drunk again, and we're trying to get him to go back to his rack because the cop's right there, and the cop, he's listening to this. He's listening to his Mexican mariachi music, quotas, what I'm saying, the accordion, the typical, like mariachi music, And Dorian was like in a dance troupe or something back in the day, and so he started doing this dance, and I'm trying to get O'Malley to go so he doesn't get caught being all drunk and shit. And Dorian's doing this crazy dance in front of this cop, the CO. And the CO, he was cool. He was one of the cool ones. Like he was. I mean, we got along with him just fine. But he's looking at him, and I'm shooting O'Malley off, and he comes out of the cube or whatever with the breathalyzer machine and makes us both take a breathalyzer. And we were fine, I mean, thankfully it was us, not O'Malley. But we used to have to walk that dude down to the yard at night, like you always want to go down and do like the last hour of the day and he'd be so hammered I'd have to run blocker for him. I got breathalyzed so many times because I'd always try and step between him and the cop, And the cop would see him, and they'd see me, and I'd always try and get between them, and they'd always hit me with the breathalyzer, and O'Malley would just keep stepping, and which was, that's why I went with him down there many times just to keep him out of the trouble. But it got him. He got moved out of our unit, and then then one night I look out, and it was like 1 in the morning, I see him. He's hooked up, and one of the cops was walking him across the yard of the shoe, and that was the last that we saw of him. He was done after that, which sucks because he was a good dude. And O'Malley, if you're out there, man, hope all's well with you. You know, I don't even know if he knows what happened. But anyway, so I'm getting ready to jump in the vehicle, and I just wanted to address this. And I don't want to get personal, put people on blast or anything like that. And I really hope that nobody's, upset by me talking about this. But I feel like that my friend was a recovering addict. His doctor knew that. It was no secret. He was this guy was like within me. This guy was fame. I mean, dude, he had a lot of notoriety. This guy was a pretty famous dude. That once he got out, I mean, like everybody knew him. Everybody knew his story, and he wasn't afraid to tell his story, which is why I'm not afraid to talk about it either. And I'm not really that concerned with it. What concerns me is the fact that here you've got this guy that's got this pain or whatever, and he gets prescribed this awful drug that's killing people left and right. And his addiction takes back over, and he ends up sending a bunch of money with somebody to California to pick up fentanyl pills to get him by or whatever. And this person gets pulled over. And in the bag of the pills that were for him, it's got his name and his phone number. And that's how he got jammed up in another federal indictment, a RICO case, which if anybody knows anything about RICO, you're looking at like 20 years on that. And, I don't think that he was prepared. I don't think that he was ready. I don't think he was going to go back and do that. I don't know what I would do if I was in that position. The idea of going back in there again. I mean, I could probably go back and do a 5-piece maybe. I don't know. I damn sure don't want to go back and do another day. I can tell you that much. And I damn sure don't put myself in any kind of a position that would even make that be a possibility. So I can imagine what he was going through, especially being addicted. And here's the other thing that happened. He tried to get help. He knew he had a problem. And he went to get treatment, that Ibogaine treatment. I don't know if anybody knows about that. Ibogaine it's an African like shrub, and it's psychoactive, and they use it to treat people that are addicted to heroin and cocaine, opiates and shit like that. Well, fentanyl is a synthetic. So my boy calls down to this. It's not illegal in the United States either. You have to go to Mexico to get this treatment. So he thinks this is his best bet. And he calls down there and sets it up, and he goes down for treatment. And he starts taking the stuff, and it's not doing anything to take care of the withdrawals. So he starts withdrawing really bad and starts having organ failure. And they take him up to San Diego, and they have to put him in an induced coma. And they call his wife, and she has to fly down there. And she shows up, and she goes in, and they've got him in an induced coma. And one of the bags on the IV was a bag of fentanyl. She's like, "What are you doing? This is what we were trying to get him off of." And so now he's in a coma on fentanyl is what one of the things they're using to keep him under. So they got to wean him off of that. And she said that after he came back from that and got back home, it just was never the same. And then he's got the indictment hanging over his head. And, he decided to check out. And it wasn't an overdose, but I feel like this fentanyl and big pharma, I feel like they took my friend and my brother away, because that wasn't him. He wouldn't have done. He wouldn't have done that otherwise. Because when I saw him, and he and I when I saw, we were both Stone cold sober. No drink, nothing. Not even a beer, nothing. I mean, we went out to eat one night, and then we went to, we were out with my friends the next night. They were all drinking and carrying on at the concert. Everybody's drinking. We just were having fun. I mean, and that's, that's how it was, and everything was good. It was cool. It was great hanging out. We had a hell of a time. It was one of those shows that I'll always remember because I was able to share it with him. And a lot of times I go to shows by myself, and so it's always cool when there's somebody with me. I mean, I'm always got friends and people I know and shit like that, but I usually buy an extra ticket just to, if somebody needs one or whatever. I have one, and I like just giving them away. Not them, but just one. I don't buy a bunch of them. I'll buy two. Just in case I'm somewhere where somebody I know wants to go and they don't have a ticket or whatever. But yeah, that was a fun night. And this is one of those things that we've got a problem here. And I don't know, I'm not trying to cast blame on anybody, but I feel like I am going to throw some blame in Big Pharma. All right? I hate Big Pharma. This is the second person in my life that's been important to me that's passed away as a result of this shit. And we've got this system, and we've got this fucking idiot that we have in office. I'm not trying to get all political, but we've got an idiot in office that doesn't even know where he's at. And he doesn't give a shit about this stuff. He's got a drug addict kid. He doesn't give a fuck about that. He's arrogant as shit. This motherfucker is so fucking arrogant. I mean, they come out yesterday, and the FBI gets subpoenaed to produce this document that an FBI whistleblower told the Republican Party about. And the FBI, they declined. They're not going to do it. They're not going to produce the documentation. And so Comer and Jordan and all them and Nace and all that, they get up there and they go through the banking. So what they had done is they went through the back way through because they couldn't get the bank reports on this side of the fence, they went the back way through China, and they found all these deposits and all the LLCs that there's 20 LLCs so far that the Bidens have created. They don't do business. They don't have business. They're peddling influence. There's millions of dollars that have been transferred into those accounts. And guess what? The media is not covering it. And here we have this shit going on. We're going to have Title 42 is going to be done. And you've got tens of thousands of immigrants that are just waiting to storm the border. And there's not, they sent 1,500 fucking troops down there. When you've got tens of thousands of people, there's no way, and this idiot grandstands about all the fentanyl that they've caught at, the certain crossing points. What about the other places? The cartels send that shit through on purpose at those points because they know they're going to have losses. And the prices they're paying, they're willing to sacrifice it. So they send their mules through to get caught on purpose. And then up the, few miles up the way, they got the guy with the, the stash on his back or whatever, and he's going right, he's right through because everybody's worried about what's going on down here. I mean, it's not that hard of a move, and yet you've got these idiot Democrats that are sitting there, grandstanding and bragging about all the fentanyl that they've picked up at the border, and you got to consider whatever you've confiscated and taken, you've maybe grabbed 20% of it, and the other 80% has come into the fucking country because you got 300 people a day dying from this shit. And this is what happens. Like, my friend had to go to the streets with it, I mean, it's a different type when you get it from the doc, but it's still just as fucking addictive. And why would they do that? Why would they give that to my friend? I don't understand. You know, and I knew something was up when he called. I was really concerned. And I called my boy Josh up and I was like, dude, have you heard from Dorian? You know, and he's like, yeah. And he goes, hang on, let me get Sammy on the phone. And so we had a 3-way call. And I said, well, you know, I'm going to try and reach back out to him. And I'd already sent him, you know, the money or whatever. And I don't give a shit about that. I couldn't care less, you know. And like I told him, I said, I'll give you whatever you want. Whatever I have is, it's yours, dude. I don't give a shit. I mean, that's how you treat your brothers, you know. They need something, you give freely. And he was trying to explain to me and I said, I don't need an explanation. I don't care. You need something, I got you. That's all I told him. I said, you need something, I got you covered, you know. And I mean, and that was the last I heard from him, you know. And it was my birthday this year that he decided to check out. And that's I don't give a shit about birthdays anyways, but that's always going to be that'll be a difficult day in the future. I'll try and find something else to do and just act like maybe I'll just skip that day or something. Make that my new leap year, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, I'm going to get in the truck and head out there. We've had all sorts of shit going on in the news that I could talk about right now, but my mind's not really on it. I mean, I know I got into the Biden thing, but that's because of his relationship with the fentanyl, and I hold him very responsible for a lot of these issues, a lot of these problems. But more importantly, I think that we've got a problem with Big Pharma. I mean, these people are just making dollars. They're just making money. That's all they're doing. They're making money on misery. And then, you know what they do is they get somebody hooked on this shit, and then they pull back the prescription or whatever, and then you've got an addict, you know. And it's not that you're not talking about. And I don't give a shit if you're a junkie or whatever. You get addicted to some shit. I don't have any ill will. I don't want to talk shit about anybody that's addicted to drugs, because it's a horrible, awful it's a disease. It's not like somebody just decided one day in like 7th grade that, oh, I want to fucking be a junkie on the street. No. They probably had some kind of trauma in their life, some kind of abuse, some kind of God knows what. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Something. Started messing around, and next thing you know, these drugs and shit, you get addicted quick. You know, I've seen it happen, back in the day. I had a buddy that threw me some of those oxys, and I didn't take them, but I got rid of them, and I had people at my doorstep, like, going nuts at, like, 4 in the morning. I was like, no, I'm not fucking with this shit no more. I didn't even know what it was, and that was it for me with that. You know, and thankfully I'm allergic to this shit. You know, I was in an accident years back and got prescribed Percocet and developed an allergy to it. So I can't even, I wouldn't mess with it anyways. With my personality, I know that it would be all bad. And I know so many people that have been like that. It's just like one time and you're done. This fentanyl shit, that's one time and you're in. Check out Kensington up in Philadelphia. If you're on the internet or whatever. If you're on YouTube, all you gotta do is put in Kensington. And it'll come up and you'll see one of this place. This is in the United States. And we got this going on. We got stuff like this happening in our backyard. And we're not doing a goddamn thing about it yet. We're sending billions of dollars in weaponry and money to the Ukraine. For what? Why? It doesn't make any sense. Let's see if I can find something. Yeah, Jesus Christ, this place is a goddamn zoo. The way people are living out there is just, it's like, what in the hell is going on here? I'm just going to see if I can pull up a photo on the monitor. I don't want to play the video, but I just want to show you what this is. I mean, now the video is gonna play anyhow, I guess. Let's see if we can go back to the start. No, we might just have to play it. Yeah, but check this out. I mean, this is crazy shit. I mean, this is the United States, folks. This is our backyard. These are our brothers and our sisters. This is how they're living. Look at this. I mean, they're sending in dump trucks, and they're just, and this is the shit that people, I mean, they're just yarding it. Look, I mean, they're doing that trank dope. I guess it's got like horse tranquilizer in it or something, and then they've got this other shit that's got benzodiazepine, the benzo. So they got the benzo dope, and then they got the trank dope. And they said that shit, that these people do this shit, and it knocks them out, and they get robbed for whatever they have, you know, and then, you know, a lot of them end up just dead, just dying. I mean, because you can't live that, you can't live that long on the, you know, with this addiction. And there's Trumpy. That was another thing. He had his little town hall on CNN, and everybody lost their mind over that. I don't remember which one it was that just was just pissed that anybody would even give him it's like the dude is the guy that's running for the Republican Party, like as a news agency. If you are even trying to be newsworthy, you have to cover, I don't care, you know, you have to cover the Republican Party, you know. Turn that fridge off. You have to. You don't have a choice. I mean, unless you're just gonna be like CNN was. CNN is trying to like reclaim their, you know, their status as being an actual news organization. So I mean, if that's the case, then I mean, you have to cover, you know, you got to cover both sides. You know, I mean, people, that's a problem. People get so fucking upset and triggered over the shit because you cover the other side of the fucking. It's like, you know, it used to be like you could just agree to disagree. It was no big deal. You didn't get all mad and go out in the street and fucking put on your mask and blow shit up and fight and, you know, call people names. You know, everybody wants to call Trump ain't a fucking racist. The dude is not a racist. He did more for minorities than, you know, any other president has. I don't care what you have to say. Yeah, he didn't want MS-13 coming in the country. He didn't want the cartel coming in the country. You know? I mean, and they took everything he said and they misconstrued it. And I'm not a big Trumpster. I couldn't give a shit less, but the dude's not a racist, you know. How many hip hop songs has he been mentioned in over the years? Thousands. You know, I mean, he was everybody's. He was just Mr. And as soon as he decided to run, boy oh boy, all of a sudden here he come with the racist this, that, and the other thing. I mean, you know, transphobe or, you know, all this other shit. I mean, he was advocating, you know, for you know, for gays in clubs and shit in Florida a long time ago. I mean, and I don't know the extent of his relationship with Epstein. They said that he met Melania through Epstein. I don't know. I know that Ivanka, or was it Ivana? Sorry, Ivana, his ex-wife. I know she was running with Ghislaine Maxwell up there at Les Wexner's place up outside of Columbus, Ohio, and they were trolling for underage girls, you know, after school and shit like that, which is kind of creepy. And she was hooked up with that young dude. He died, he passed away. But she was like 70, and this dude she was with, like, there was one video where he's like hanging out, and the news comes in, and I mean, this, he's like an Italian model or some shit, man. It's just like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why is this dude hooked up with her? You know what he's doing. What about that MONEY? But they ended up getting married at Mar-a-Lago. Her and this dude, and then he passed away from, I don't remember what it was. It was cancer or some. I don't remember if it was leukemia or what it was, but it was some kind of a terminal disease. Which, hey, don't wish that on anybody, but you know what? There's the thing. We all got our exit date. We all got that ticket to punch, and none of us get out of it without it. There is not a single person that gets out of this thing without punching that ticket. You're going to punch it. I'm going to punch it. And you got to ask yourself, are you ready for it? I'm fine with it. It's going to happen, and that's fine. It's going to happen to everybody, and that's okay. Of course you don't sit there and wish for it. I mean, I certainly lived like that for a lot of years, where I just didn't care. But then again, I thought I was invincible. When you think you're invincible, when you believe something, then you are. But then when, there comes a day where you start to have these, you start to think, this could be bad. And once you start to have those thoughts, then all of a sudden, guess what? Your invincibility is out the window. And I learned that real quick. I know I'm not invincible anymore. I know that for a fact. I mean, I can still be a monster, but I'm not, I damn sure know that there's nothing that, I mean, I've had my 9 lives, I'll just say that. The next one's probably, that's probably it. Maybe. I don't know. You never know. Maybe I'll get 10. Maybe I'll get 11. Maybe I'll get a baker's dozen. Who knows? It don't matter. The universe knows, and I think that whatever the hell it is we're doing here, we've all got a time stamp on us, and it's going to play out how it plays out. And it's unfortunate that we're involved in so much violence. And it's not the guns. Everybody wants to blame the guns. Oh, we gotta have gun control this and gun control that. It's not the guns. It's a problem up here. It's a societal problem. It's the guns are a symptom. So if you're going to treat a disease, do you go after the symptom? No. You figure out the disease because of the symptom, right? Like, you go to the doctor, right, because you're having symptoms of something. So when you go to the doctor and then they run their tests or whatever on you, then they come up with the root of the problem. Well, with the guns and the mass shootings, it's not the guns. The guns are a symptom. It's just like our politicians are a symptom. It's just like, drug and alcohol abuse is a symptom of something deeper. It's there on the surface and it's what everybody sees, but there's something underneath it. And with the guns, there's something underneath it. And so, do I think that there should be some kind of thing in effect to keep, like I always come back to the Salvador Ramos down in Uvalde. I shouldn't even say his name. That went in and killed 21 people. He bought 2 AR-15s at the same gun shop in 1 week, and he'd been taken in at 14 because he was saying that when he turned 18, there was going to be a mass casualty event, him and a buddy of his. They'd taken him in, psych evals, all that. That dude should have been, there should be some kind of a list for that. If you're a teenage kid and you get jammed up because you're saying shit like that, then there should be communication between law enforcement or the mental health system or whatever and these gun shops. I think that kid should have been on a list. And, so these people that want to argue about that, that type of stuff. I mean, I don't see any problem with having a red flag list. I mean, that Audrey Hale should never have had all those firearms. They said that she had like 7 firearms. Her parents said that they thought she'd gotten rid of, apparently they knew about one of them and they thought that she'd gotten rid of it, but no. I mean, these things are preventable. With this, if you're on psychotropic medication, I think right there that you're off the list. Or you're on the list. I don't have a problem with that. You can say you're stomping on somebody's Second Amendment right or whatever, but you know what? I mean, look what happens. Look at Adam Lanza, Sandy Hook. I mean, every one of these characters, almost all of them, have had a history of mental illness and either have been on psychotropic medications or they are on psychotropic medications. Now, what happens when you here's where the problem lies. When you take somebody and they get off of that shit, okay? There's where you get the problems. Because while they're on it, they're just like a zombie. I've seen it. I've been around it. I've watched it. But they go off of it, and then the voices start coming in, especially if you're talking about schizophrenia or you're talking about manic depression, if you're talking about bipolar disorder. And these medications aren't something where you can just stop taking them, and then all of a sudden you just pop a pill and you're just back to being, a zombie. Because that's what it does. These medications just zombify people. I've seen it. They just, and that's no way to live. And those people don't like living like that. And that's why they stop. They get straightened out and they think, well, I'm okay now. I'll just stop taking this shit. Because I don't like the way it makes me feel, right? Which who can blame them for that? But, when you're talking about somebody that's got mental problems, mental illness, I mean, and there's so many different facets to that too. We don't even understand the half of it. And it comes down to, quite honestly, what I think is you've got a bunch of disaffected people young people especially, that are just pushed by the wayside. And this shit goes on. It's glamorized. It's on the news all the time. It's in your face. It doesn't have anything to do with video games. It's none of that shit. That's nonsense. It has nothing to do with the movies or music or anything like that. It has to do with, nobody listens to a fucking song and decides they're just going to go shoot up a bunch of, grade school kids. It's cowardice, for one. These people are cowards. If you want to go out, I don't know why you don't just go out and that's part of the mental illness of it, I think. And I don't understand why they want to take innocent people with them. I don't get that. If you want to go commit suicide by a cop, it's plenty easy to find a police officer. I wouldn't suggest that either. You want to go out, just go take yourself out. It's not difficult. We had a guy in our unit, we just called him Suicide Watch. He would try and kill him, and he would always do it half-assed. It was just a classic cry for help. And then we'd get locked down, and it just sucked, And finally I told the dude, I'm like, listen, dude, if this is what you want to do, then there's ways to facilitate it, you know what I mean? It's like, but if you're just going to keep fucking us all up with your antics, dude, it's like, you're going to get your ass kicked, and it stopped. But it's a weird thing. The whole, the mass shootings, gang violence. We all know we're going to die, right? That's just being honest. We all know we're going to go. It's not like that's, some kind of morbid, macabre thing to say. It's the truth. We're all going to go. But we like to stay. And at most, what are we looking at? At most, who's the oldest person alive right now? I think there's a 105-year-old dude. Like, that's one guy. the average lifespan in the United States is like 77 point something, 77 years, I think. So why kill somebody? If you're going to be here 77 years and they're going to be here 77 years, then why would you kill that person? Why would you have the inclination to do that? Why would you have the inclination to go bomb people? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Yet we fund it. And we just turn a blind eye to it because it's not happening in our backyard. Because it's happening over there. You know, to brown people that we don't know that believe in a different God than we do. You know how many religions? There's thousands and thousands and thousands of religions out there, you know? I mean, just believing in a different God or whatever doesn't, you know, I mean, how do you know that you're right? How do you know? How do you know that you're right? To all you out there that are, you know, on that wavelength of thinking that, you know, your God is the God, your hat is the hat, your magic man is the magic man. You know, chances are you're going to find out that you were mistaken. You know, and I'm not here to get into that kind of an argument about things, but religion is it's responsible for more human deaths in recorded history of mankind than any other faction is religion. That's pretty stupid, isn't it? To have some kind of belief in some kind of a, you know, and everybody's, you know, somebody dies and they go, oh, well, he's looking down upon us. What do you mean? Huh? Looking down on us? Where was he, floating around up there in a Chinese spy balloon? You can have your thoughts and your ideas and whatever, and even your beliefs. I think beliefs are stupid. I think ideas are great. I think beliefs are just, beliefs are what people go, they'll go to bat for that shit, you know what I mean? And they don't listen to anybody else. Like if you have an idea about something, people speak about ideas. People have conversations about ideas, and they're able to air those ideas to one another, bounce them off each other, and people with ideas are able to say, oh, I never looked at it that way. That's a good point. People with beliefs are intolerant. If you believe something, especially something that's intangible, like when you're talking about God, do I think there's a greater force out there? I have an idea that there probably has to be. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Maybe we're in a simulation. Maybe God is a dude named Timmy in his mother's basement in fucking Kansas, who's come up with this whole thing. Maybe we're the Sims. You know, we might just be some big ass video game. For all we know, we don't know. And so to sit there and say we have these beliefs is crazy. To have these innate hatreds. I mean, for example, I don't know a single thing about Dilbert Mulrooney or whatever this person's name is that everybody's freaking about the Bud Light. And I've talked about this already. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? You want to drink Bud Light? Drink your Bud Light. If it took Dilbert Mulvaney to get you to realize you're drinking fucking dog piss all these years, then you know what? Maybe you ought to give that person a shout out. I don't know what is that. A she? I guess her. I would. If I was Kid Rock, instead of taking my machine gun and shooting up a bunch of Bud Light, I'd be like, hey, Delbert, Mucklefuck, whatever your name is, thank you. I mean, she should have lifetime tickets to NASCAR, like VIP seating, because she, I think, helped a bunch of NASCAR people understand that they're just drinking fucking formaldehyde dog water for all these years, and now they've stopped. They ought to say thank you. And it's funny that's what it is. Funny that people got so upset. What does it matter what photo's on the can? It's still your same beer that you like to drink, right? Who gives a shit? Are you that small? Are you that insecure in who you are that you can't drink a can of beer that's got a picture of a transgender person on it? I mean, if that's what I like to drink, I don't give a shit. I mean, you could take my cup right here and you could put, I don't care. I mean, maybe I'll put a fucking picture of Delbert Mulvaney, whatever the I don't know. I can't remember the name. I keep calling her Delbert, but I know it's not Delbert. Maybe I'll see if I can do that. Because I think that would be hilarious, and I think it would probably trip a bunch of you out, and you'd probably get all wound up. I don't care. I'd drink. I mean, it's my cup. Do you think I give a shit what's on it? I mean, it's got my fingerprints and dust from the shop, and I mean, who cares if it's got a picture of whatever, Dillevin, Muckleshoe, whatever. I don't know what the hell his name is. What's his name? Her name. Sorry. Now I'm going to mispronouncing people. I don't care. She's probably a nice person. I mean, do you think I don't think that she's gonna, like, rape your children or, do anything evil. I mean, from what I've seen, this person is like maybe 112 pounds. I don't see the threat. All you big tough guys out there that want to shoot your Bud Light and throw fits and make goofy. I mean, that's how comfortable you are with your sexuality. That's what you're gonna take your stand on. Is the fact that they put a picture of a 112-pound transgender person on your beer can and you're gonna lose your mind over it? Who cares? How often before did you look at your beer can? Did you used to look at your beer can all the time? Or you just take it and put it in your koozie and snap that top and just chug her down? I mean, really, who cares? It's not that big of a deal. It's funny, though. I can tell you that. It's funny as hell that people are, that's where you're going to make your stand, is on a 112-pound transgender person that, is a TikTok crap chat, whatever. I don't even know how she got famous. I don't care. But I tell you what, if Dilbert Mulvaney was sitting right here right now, you know what? I wouldn't drink a Bud Light, but, I'd be like, okay, what's your story? Like, tell me about you. I'm curious. I'd like to know what the hell's up. I mean, I seriously, I don't care. It doesn't seem like this person is hurting anybody except for the psyches of, a bunch of dudes that are already probably not that well in the head anyways. Because if that's what it takes, if that's all it takes for you to just slide off the edge and go berserk over something, that's pretty fucking pathetic, I think. That's just my fucking opinion. I mean, I'm comfortable in who I am. I don't give a shit what's on that. If it's something I like to drink, I don't care what's on the can. I'm not licking the can. I want what's inside of it. I don't drink anything out of a can anyways. It should give you Alzheimer's. Allegedly. Anyway, with that, I guess I'm going to get in the truck and I'm going to go for a drive. I've got about 625 miles to go. Haven't been to Boise in quite some time. It's been like 8 years, I guess. Went to school out there, lived out there for quite some time. Spent a lot of time in Boise. So it'll be weird because I live like right across the interstate from the airport. So when I pull up to pick Josh up tomorrow, it'll be kind of like a flashback. Hopefully they don't have any pictures of Dillevin, Muckle, whatever, Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Maybe I'll get a mug with a picture. Maybe I'll make a shirt or something with a picture. I don't care. Maybe I'll make a hat with her face on it. I don't give a shit. Who cares? This is just another human being going through this fucking experience. And why is she got to be? She has. I don't think that she's murdered anybody. I don't think that she's raped anybody. I don't think that she's what's she done other than go through a transition and post it on crap chat or whatever it was. I don't know. That's what I heard. I don't know anything about her. I don't see that. You're talking about a 112-pound person. I don't see any. I don't see evil there. I don't see any mean like motivations. I don't see that. I mean, I've seen I saw one video where she was acting like a little kid and skipping around. So what? You're that insecure that some person that decided to transition is skipping around and acting like a little girl that's gonna just set you off? That seems pretty foolish. It's almost sad. It's hilarious, kind of. It's kind of funny, but it's kind of sad. I mean, and anybody that's upset about this, and Skid Rock, you need to check yourself, dude, because if this is what's gonna piss you off, dude, you're fucking soft. You're supposed to be some badass Detroit, rock and roller, and that's what's gonna set you over the edge, Grandpa. Go out and blast a couple cases of your Scud Light, Skid Rock. I'm calling you out, dude. I mean, dude, that's weak. That's weak, bro. I mean, you're supposed to be, about something. That's not being about something. That's being I mean, dude, that's just weak. It's weak-minded, and it's just, it's attention-seeking behavior is all that is. Who gives a shit? You want to drink the Bud Light? You're not. I mean, you don't lick the outside of the can, Skid Rock. I'm sure he's got a koozie he puts it in, or he's got a pimp cup or some shit. I mean, who gives a fuck? I mean, why did everybody get so mad about this? If you drink that stuff anyways, and that made you mad not to drink it, then you should thank this person because they did you a favor because you've been drinking garbage. I mean, if you're drinking dumpster juice and somebody talks you out of drinking dumpster juice, then you should probably say, geez, thanks for telling me not to drink dumpster juice anymore. I mean, who'd have thought? I'm just saying, I mean, there are bigger things. We have a lot bigger problems on the plate here, Like I said, we got, our kids are shooting each other. We've got homelessness. We've got the inflation problem. Money is the big problem. That's the big issue, folks. If you look at the reason that we have, why is there crime? Why is there gang activity? Because why? Because there's safety in numbers, and you can go out and you can get your money, right? And then you're not going to get jumped, right? If you're in a gang, then you don't got to worry about that gang jumping you and taking your shit. Because they want your shit, and that's, comes down to the money, right? Monetary fucking shit. That's what it's all about. That's the nature of our problems. And I'm not a Christian. I've read the Bible. I think there's some good things in there for sure. I think there's some questionable things, but that's not who I am. But when it talks about the love of, it doesn't say money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. And there's a difference in that. And ask yourself about that, okay? I want you to look at that. Think about it. And on that note, I'm going to go get in the truck. I'm going to go fuel up, see how much this diesel fuel is going to cost me. And I'm going to get on the road and go through Jellystone Park. So, from 52 miles east of Jellystone Park in Coyote, Wyoming. Thanks for tuning into the Mike Files, all 2.3 of you. I appreciate your viewership. I hope you all have a lovely evening, and I hope that something I had to say might resonate with you. If it does, awesome. If it doesn't, oh well. I did my part. Everybody do theirs, or don't. That's up to you. Choice is yours. Always has been. With that, we're out. Peace.